Luka Doncic is currently one of the best basketball players in the world. That is to nobody's surprise, as Luka has been a top talent ever since he was a teenager, dominating on the court against professionals when he was only 17 years old. However, he has reached a level of play that very few players in basketball history have done during their careers. Not only is Luka one of the best players in the world right now, but also in the history of the game. If you think otherwise, maybe these legends' opinions will change your mind. Let's hear what some of the NBA greats have said about Luka and his game. Once an amazing point guard for the Dallas Mavericks and a veteran presence for their 2011 championship squad, Jason Kidd has now taken the role of the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks. So if somebody understands how to perform in a Dallas Mavericks uniform, that would be Jason Kidd. The once All-NBA point guard knows what it takes to be great at that position and in that franchise, and he is aware that Luka has that in him as well, even going as far to say that he believes Luka is already better than what many people consider the greatest Mavericks player ever, Dirk Nowitzki.
I've said this before, and I'll say it, for as long as I'm here, is you can't take this young man for granted. He's better than Dirk. He's in the atmosphere of MJ, the best to ever do it, LeBron, Kobe. And so just to appreciate what this young man's doing at the age of 24 is something that Dallas has never seen.
One trait that all of the basketball greats have in common is that they make the game look easy. Luka Doncic is no exception. The Slovenian star is playing the game at his own pace, getting to his spots, and never seems to be uncomfortable when facing different types of strategies against him. However, old heads, especially old heads that used to be great defenders like Tony Allen or Bruce Bowen, have gone out in public to explain what their defensive approach against Luka would look like. The 2004 Defensive Player of the Year, Ron Artest, or as of latest Meta Sandiford Artest, joined in this conversation and explained how he would take on Luka if he were tasked to guard him. During his career, Artest has guarded some of the greatest scorers from the 2000s era like Kobe Bryant, Tracy McGrady, or Paul Pierce, so he would know what it takes to guard the best. The primary goal Ron said he would have is to test Luka's cardio. For the first 3 quarters, it would be really hard for you to get a jumper unless you're coming off a screen. That was just my thought process guarding guys. You're going to have to drive. And I don't mind a guy getting 15 or 20 in the first quarter. If you're getting that against me in the first quarter, you're probably done. However, at the end of the day, even Artest is aware that Luka is built differently and would be a hell of a matchup. Even for him, Gilbert Arenas was also one of the great scorers that Ron Artest was tasked to guard during the 2000s. Although he was an amazing talent, Agent Zero's career was cut short due to unfortunate injuries and the infamous gun scandal. However, Gilbert has been keeping himself around the basketball world as he has appeared on numerous podcasts discussing the game. He is a big fan of Luka Doncic and is mostly impressed by how Luka has mastered the basketball fundamentals, which have allowed him to take advantage against the bigger and more athletic players in the NBA.
The reason fundamentals are necessary, it's like being in traffic with a Lamborghini or Prius. Yeah, you can beat the Prius in a straight up race, but through traffic, the Prius has an advantage. So what ends up happening is Luka has the advantage over anyone who's guarding him because these guys are too athletic for this part of the game.
Yes.
For this part of
that
the
part, yeah, bro.
Open court.
Open court,
you got him.
Yeah.
Half court where you have to be disciplined. You never learned it. So these basic moves that get you to think I'm gonna go that way, to come back this way, you overplaying it, pump fake, you're jumping, foul. Next time, pump fake, you stop, okay. So he plays the puppet master game with you. And that's what fundamentals are important, especially at a younger age.
Another great point guard turned head coach is Chauncey Billups. Chauncey was always a brilliant basketball mind, but unlike Kidd, he has not had the privilege of coaching Luka, but coaching against him. In a matchup between Billups's Trailblazers and Luka's Mavs, Luka finished with a triple-double, absolutely torching Portland with 42 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists, and securing the win for his squad. After the game, Chauncey talked about how big of a problem Luka was for his squad that night, and pointed out how good of a one-on-one player Luka actually is, and how he managed to make the Blazers look silly guarding him.
It's a matter of playing against Luka. He makes every single team in the league look like that. It just is what it is. This guy is so big, you double him, he sees over top of you, his passes are on time, on target most of the time. It's just, some players are just that good, or they can do that. So for us, we knew that we were going to have to make multiple efforts on most possessions in this game. And for the most part, we did that, had a couple breakdowns, in the last few minutes of it that cost us.
When asked who Luka reminded him of, Chauncey kept it simple.
Luka. I don't know. I don't think we've seen a guy like him. So he's one of one.
Gary Payton is another great point guard who thinks highly of Luka Doncic. GP was a menace during his playing days, oftentimes making his opponents play below their level with his trash-talking and great defense. The Glove was a tremendous competitor, so he rarely gave credit to his opponents. But it seems like as time goes on, even he has learned to give other players props, especially the leaders of the new generation in the NBA. When asked about his opinion on then-rookie Luka Doncic, Gary said that Luka is an amazing talent who the Mavs should build around.
Luka's a great talent, a real great talent. He showed it. Coming over here, winning Rookie of the Year, and scoring as easy as he did. That's for being over and overseas a lot and being focused like that a lot and know how to score. They're building. It is what it is. They're building. And once you build and put the right pieces together and keep them together for a little bit, they'll be fine. I think Mark is doing a good job of doing what he has to do to keep them together. They got a great coach, and they just got to keep working.
While Steve Nash was the coach for the Brooklyn Nets, he had a tough time game planning against Luka Doncic. It all seemed to culminate in March 2022 when Luka dropped a 49-point bomb against Nash's Nets. With 22 seconds left in the game, Luka made a go-ahead two-pointer. Kevin Durant then tied the game with 8 seconds to go, so it all came down to the last possession. The Nets tried everything they could to get the ball out of Luka's hands, as they knew that the Mavs were going to try to go through him, and they actually succeeded. However, by doubling Luka, they left Spencer Dinwiddie open for a three-point shot, and Luka once again showcased his great court vision by finding him over the double team. After the game, Steve Nash pointed out how the things that he thinks set Luka apart from the rest of the players.
I just think his feel for the game, coupled with his size. He's able to use his size to get free, and that feel for how to get people off balance and how to spray the ball or how to score.
Luka Doncic made sure to have a statement game in his first ever playoff appearance in 2020. In Game 1 of the Western Conference quarterfinals series against the Clippers, Luka dropped 42 points. This was even more impressive when you consider the fact that Luka was only 21 years old at the time. After the game, Richard Jefferson and Scottie Pippen discussed this performance on ESPN, and although RJ pointed out how high of standards are put on Luka at such an early age, Scottie kept his focus on the 11 turnovers Luka had that night, which, in his opinion, let the win slip away from the Mavs.
I know exactly where he's coming from. Being a player that has played at that level, had to be a leader for your team. When you have a game when you have high turnovers, those are your worst games. Those are games that you can criticize yourself. Those are games that your teammates are going to criticize you. But not only the coaching staff are going to criticize you, but beyond that first half, you take away those first 7 turnovers, he had an outstanding game. His leadership, his floor ability to see the floor, to make the right plays, he was outstanding. His offense was very dominant down in the stretch of the game when Porzingis went out, but I can understand that he is a little bit humiliated because of the turnovers, and he realized, like everyone else in Texas, that they let a game get away.
At the end of the day, although Scottie thought that Luka had a bad game because of the turnovers, he was still aware that Luka was, and still is, an amazing talent, and he made sure to point that out as well. Although they played only 2 games against each other, it didn't take long for Wade to notice Luka Doncic's talents. When asked about what he thinks of the young Luka Doncic, Wade said that he is a big fan of his.
Hell of a player, hell of a young player, but he just, it seemed like he's been here before already. He's just very seasoned. You know, I think Dallas Mavericks fans and NBA sports fans around the world should be excited about, you know, what he can do for the next 20 years in this game. As a fan of the game, I love watching him play. He does things on the court that you just, you know, it wows you. So it's great. You guys got a good one. Keep him. I'm sure Mark Cuban will.
As much as you would listen and watch Michael Jordan during his playing days, you would think he would remain in the public eye for years to come. That does not seem to be the case whatsoever, as MJ has been rarely seen around the game of basketball nowadays, let alone talk about it. However, actions speak louder than words, and MJ's respect for Luka was put on display during the 2022 All-Star Game, when Michael went out of his way to go and greet Luka. As you can see in this short clip, he doesn't have this type of love for everybody, as Karl Anthony Towns did not get anywhere near the same treatment from Mike that Luka did. Greatness recognizes greatness, and this is no exception, as even before this moment happened. Mike had a really high opinion about Luka, as when Dončić signed his deal with the Jordan brand, Bleacher Report published an MJ quote where Jordan had said that Luka was the future of the league. Luka is a phenomenal player, and at such a young age. He's demonstrating skills that take many guys years to develop. It will be incredible to watch him continue to advance in the league. Shaq is probably somebody that has changed his opinion the most about Luka. But as of late, the Big Diesel has kept it consistent as he has become a big fan of the Mavericks superstar. Shaq talked about Luka's greatness on Inside the NBA, pointing out his creating ability. Shaq analyzed Luka's offensive performance against the Lakers, and he capped it off by saying,
"This kid has to do everything for the team to be successful. Right here, 2 or 3 guys, he can't pass it, but he just said, I'm a scorer. And great player, MVP candidate, but it's a lot of pressure on him, because if he don't play well, if he don't do that, Mavericks go nowhere."
It seems that Luka Doncic has been breaking NBA records every other night nowadays. However, if there is one record that Luka will probably never be able to break, it is Rasheed Wallace's record for technical fouls in one regular season, with 40 in his 2001 campaign. Although unbreakable, it seems that Luka has been trying his best to catch up to Sheed, as he has consistently been one of the leaders in the league in technical fouls. Sheed had a few words of advice for Luka, as he pointed out that he is obviously more useful for the Mavericks when he is on the court than off.
You just got to keep playing. You know, I did receive a lot of texts and stuff. A lot of mine were during the regular season, but once playoff time came, then I knew what was at stake there. So I knew, like, okay, I got to shut my mouth. I got to just go ahead and bite the bullet. And if the referee, they want to, you know, be sarcastic or cuss me out, I got to let them, because I know if I said anything, then they would give me a tech. And now I'm gone for 2 games. We're in the playoffs, and that could change the whole thing. So Luka, just keep playing. You know, you busting their ass, you killing them already, dog. So just keep playing, doing what you're doing. You ain't even got to say nothing to the refs. You going to the line, you getting buckets, y'all winning. Hey, go ahead. You doing your thing, bro.
Contrary to the Jason Kidd comments on Luka being greater than Dirk, and in the same category as the greats like Kobe, LeBron, and MJ, ex-NBA guard, and 3-time 6th Man of the Year, Jamal Crawford thinks that while Luka is definitely on a path to greatness, it is unfair to compare him to such big names in the game of basketball, at least not yet.
People don't give Dirk enough credit for the championship he got. If he went through all the best players, Jason Terry was the second best player who came off the bench. And Dirk just took control of the whole thing, the whole situation. Didn't cry, didn't complain, won a championship in one of the hardest eras. And so Luka's on his way to being one of the greats, but right now, today, we can't say he's. And can I say something else? I'm kind of tired of people throwing away on Michael Jordan's name. Like, what are we doing? We talking about Michael Jordan?
Yeah,
Jeffrey Jordan? Or Michael? Like, he's the best ever. And
calm down,
besides
Jason Kidd.
People are kind of like comparing him. He's too good to be compared to.
Similar to Wade, Vince Carter didn't need much time to recognize how good Luka Doncic is. The two faced each other only 2 times, winning 1 game apiece. However, in those 2 games, Luka earned Carter's respect, hence why Vince still talks highly of him today as an NBA analyst.
He's been smooth sailing, though. We watched him as soon as he got into the league, and you're like, wow, this is not your everyday rookie. He's playing at a different level and a different pace, which was his pace. And then he moves into his second year. You can tell he's gotten better, and he's gotten better in his third year. MVP, in the beginning, because we were watching him in the bubble, and he was outstanding. And he's been outstanding up and down all year. But I tell you what, he's still playing at a great level. Maybe not MVP level, but he's as advertised for sure.
It seems that appreciation for Luka Doncic runs in the family, as Vince Carter's cousin, Tracy McGrady, also has a lot of love for Luka's game. Tracy was asked which young player does he look at in the NBA and say that he is the future of the league. And without a second of thinking, he said Luka.
Luka is pretty damn good. He is.
Understatement.
Yeah. Luka, I love watching Luka because Luka is not the fastest. He's not the quickest. He can't jump over a dollar. But skill-wise, like, his skill level is off the charts. He knows how to control the pace of the game. He knows how to create space and get his shot off on anybody, whether it's somebody that's bigger, stronger, quicker than him. He just knows how to play the game and control the pace.
As expected, Luka Doncic has been approved by pretty much every ex-NBA player you could think of. He has obviously played at a great level, but it is that old-school competitive approach that wins the old heads' hearts over. As time goes on, we will see a lot more from Luka Doncic and without a doubt, hear a lot of praise about him as well. Best of luck to Luka in his upcoming years in the NBA, and hopefully we get to witness his greatness for many years to come.